All right, let's talk about King Charles III. Because the way I see it, he is definitely not the king that Britain needs right now. You look at the legacy of Queen Elizabeth, and no matter what you think of the monarchy, she carried herself with dignity. She kept her nose out of politics. And she knew her role, and she was admired all around the world for it. But Charles has got his fingers in all sorts of dodgy pies, from the World Economic Forum to climate policies that never seem to apply to him. Then there's the whole Islam thing and wanting to change British traditions. And honestly, the more you dig into this guy, the more you realise that he's not just some old royal sitting in a fancy chair. This is a man with serious power and serious influence, and he's not using it to the benefit of the average Brit. So I want to break it down in this video of why I think King Charles III is not the right king for England. Let's dig in. First, it's his love for Islam over British traditions. Now look, there's nothing wrong with respecting other religions, but when you're the King of England, it's your actual job to uphold British traditions, not bend over backwards to accommodate any and every other ideology. Charles has been going on for years about how much he admires Islam. He studied Arabic so that he can study the Quran. He even wants to have his title, the Defender of the Faith, changed to Defender of Faith so that he can include all other religions. Mate, Britain is historically Christian. Whether you're religious or not, the whole foundation of the monarchy was built on this, and the entire tradition of the country was built on this. Changing it just to be inclusive sounds great on paper, but it does nothing but dilute what the actual monarchy actually stands for. And it makes you wonder, why is he pushing so hard for this? Why not celebrate and defend the culture that actually built Britain instead of trying to shift the goalposts all the time in order just to accommodate others? Second is his deep ties to the World Economic Forum, or the WEF. Here's where things start getting dodgy. Charles is a founding member of the World Economic Forum's Sustainable Markets Initiative, or the WEF. Now, if you've never heard of the WEF, I'll break it down what it is for you. It's basically a group of the richest, most powerful people on the planet, and they're pushing policies and ideas such as digital IDs, carbon tracking, and world economic control. This is the same WEF that come up with the Great Reset. The slogan, "You will own nothing and you will be happy." While they're sitting up there in their castles and flying around in their private jets, and we're being told that we've got to reduce our carbon footprint. I mean, it's hypocrisy at its finest. The fact that our king is so closely tied to an organisation that wants so much control over our economies and our personal freedoms, for me, it's worrying to say the least. Thirdly, he's obsessed with population control. Charles has spoken a lot about how the world has too many people. Let me ask you, who exactly is he talking about? Because he's not talking about the elites. He's not talking about himself, these high, powerful, rich people. He's talking about the average working person. He's talking about people like me and you. He's pushing climate policies that are making it harder for the average person to buy a home, harder for farmers to produce food, and harder for small businesses to survive. And yet somehow we're all supposed to believe that it's all about saving the planet. If overpopulation was really such a problem, maybe we should start by looking at the elites, because they burn through more resources in a week than the average person probably does in their entire lifetime. Fourth is his radical green agendas hurt regular people. His green environmental agendas are affecting normal average working people, not the elites. He's all about net zero and cutting carbon emissions, which sounds great, except for us it means higher energy bills, restrictions on travel, and basically just making life harder for average working class Brits. Meanwhile, he's flying about on private jets and living in massive palaces and mansions that have higher energy bills than most people's mortgages. He's also a fan of these 15-minute cities which are these little urban areas where everything's controlled and you very rarely need to leave your zone. Sounds really convenient at first until you realise it's just another way to limit movement and control people. Because what happens when they start saying, "Oh, you've used too much carbon this month, you can't move outside of your zone"? That's not freedom, that is control. Fifth is his leadership's weak and he's out of touch. Let's be real, Charles doesn't have the strength or the charisma that his mother had. She could hold the country together through wars, through scandals and through crises, but Charles throws a tantrum over a leaky fountain pen. He's so out of touch. He's never had to work a proper job, he's never had to worry about paying the bills. And yet he's more than happy to push policies and agendas that are just going to make life more difficult for the rest of us. A king's meant to be a unifying figure, but Charles already dividing everybody with his politics, his elitist attitude, and his dodgy alliances. 6 is his relationship with Klaus Schwab and the global elite. Klaus Schwab, the man who's running the WEF, he's the man who said that we will own nothing and we will be happy. Now, do you really think that King Charles disagrees with him? The two of them are close, and he's openly supported Schwab's ideas, and he does work closely with the WEF on their agendas. And these aren't just nice ideas. This is a push towards digital economies, centralized banking, and AI-driven control of people's lives. And Charles is right there in the middle of it. So when you really look at King Charles, what do you see? Do you see a traditional British monarch, or do you see a man who's pushing globalist agendas, climate restrictions, and mass control? People say the monarchy is just symbolic, but it isn't. Charles has real power, and he's using it to push ideas that do not benefit the British people, but benefit the elite. I think it's time we started asking the question, is he the king that we really want? Or is he just another player in an even bigger agenda that's got nothing to do with protecting Britain? So let me know what you think in the comments. Am I wrong about King Charles, or is he what I'm saying, the wrong king for England? Thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you like content like this, and I will see you in the next video. See you later.